Welcome to tonight's second, because we just did this at 5:45, but so happy that you're joining us here tonight for our very first set of family nights for Wisdom Ridge Academy, the district's newest school. And for those of you that are in, we've got a few people in person, and so it is going to feel a little clunky because we're talking also to folks that are online, and appreciate everyone that's here as well as we start. So I want to begin with just a few remarks, and one of which is to just show considerable appreciation. There's been a team of really dedicated and passionate members working on Wisdom Ridge Academy now for a number of months. And it's exciting to be able to begin to roll this out. It's the full support of the school board, and we're just there's a sense of excitement and enthusiasm, and it really brings back to this sense of unlimited possibilities as well. I want to start by telling just a short story, really kind of the why, introducing Wisdom Ridge Academy, how we got to this. In some ways, it's no surprise. There are families across the district that never really considered an alternative learning experience, and then the pandemic hit. And I mean, we certainly fall in that category. And I want to preface everything too by saying, look, this isn't about replacing traditional 5-day-a-week, 6.5-hour school. I, as a parent and as a staff member and as a community member, that are exceptionally proud of what happens in our classrooms every single day. We are the direct beneficiaries of that. Our kids love going to school each day, and it makes all the difference in their growth and maturation. And I shared this earlier, and this is foundational to all the progress we've made as a country. 90% of Americans have been educated in our public schools over the history, and that's remained a pretty consistent number. And most of us did that in this traditional model, and we know it works really well for many students. But we also know that it's not ideal for every single student. And I think that's something that happened during the pandemic that was really clear. There were some families that maybe never considered this and realized that, hey, an alternative environment that's allowed us a little bit more autonomy and a little more flexibility over our learning, this is fantastic. This really does work for us. So in that regard, it's not necessarily a surprise that Ridgefield is getting into the online learning experience and introducing Wisdom Ridge. But I think there's a bigger part of the why. In fact, I know there is a deeper foundational reason why we've entered this. And that comes from story after story that I heard over the course of the year. And I am so fortunate as the school superintendent to get to talk to people every single day, families across the community. And this year in particular, people were pretty vulnerable, and they would call in and they would talk to me about their concerns, and they would share very personal stories about their students, about themselves, about their families collectively, and the struggles and the challenges that they were facing, the economic hardship maybe with loss of job or unknown about the future, that absolute fear that so many of us felt at the very early months of the pandemic when we really didn't know what this was and what was going on and what was going to happen. And of course, story after story after story about a sense of isolation and loneliness. And Tony, our View Ridge principal that's been the lead on this, he'll talk a little bit more about the importance of the relational side at Wisdom Ridge. But there's something else that to a family, despite all of those challenges, that almost every family also shared with me. And that was this sense that, you know what? We're resilient. Our resolve, our capacity as a family is growing, and we're doubling down. We are focused more than we have been previously as the adults within this family unit on our responsibilities towards the children that are in our care. And our capacity as a family is growing. That is what led us to Wisdom Ridge Academy, which is really founded on this very simple but very true formula. And that's that when families and schools partner together and do so with the support of communities, student outcomes invariably improve, and everybody wins in that endeavor. Kids are more well-positioned to be aspirational and chase and achieve their dreams. Families are strengthened, And communities prosper when all these things happen. So we just come off much better collectively when these conditions are in place. And so that's what the school was founded on, but frankly, that's what the district is all about. That's what we talk about with our purpose statement. You see it every single time, whether it's with Joe Vance, our school board president, reading it before a board meeting, or when you're at a sporting event, they read it before the game, or at any of the district's offices and buildings where you see the purpose statement. And it's this commitment that together, through partnerships, we're going to ensure that every single student is well positioned when they leave the district to be as fully autonomous as possible, to really have an opportunity at unlimited possibilities, that they are ready for that. But it goes beyond just the purpose statement. So everyone knows the purpose statement. Maybe not everybody knows that there's a planning blueprint behind that, also called Pursuing Premier, that has 4 goals. And you see the genesis of Wisdom Ridge Academy in each of the 4 goals too. You see it in our high outcomes goals, where there's this requirement, mandate from the board. We're going to explore and develop flexible learning environments that really honor the student. By that, it means find ways to make sure that each student can learn in a time, in a place, and at a pace that is most well suited for that child. And so that means, obviously, that the traditional school setting, while it's going to meet many students' needs, is not going to meet every single student's needs. You see it in goal 2, which are safe, inclusive environments. This idea that we really worked hard, particularly over the past 5 or 6 years now, on delivering robust professional development to all our staff. And a goal of the board, a goal of the school district has been to expand that, to grow the capacity of our families by bringing more professional development opportunities to our family. I hit a button, Danny. And Mike, I hit a button. He can fix anything like this. And he just did. Thank you, Mike. And so look for that at Wisdom Ridge. But we think that that's also something that we can roll out and really leverage that across the district. You see that also in goal 3, which is a no-brainer, it's the collaboration. And here's the thing. The most important partner the district has, the most influential person in that child's life, is and ought to be that adult that's responsible for that student. So it's this wide, inclusive definition of families. But we need to be partnering with those families, and the outcomes will improve as a result of that. And you see this just as importantly, perhaps more importantly, in our commitment to closing disparity gaps. Because if we're going to do that, because not every single student comes to Ridgefield School District with the exact same set of resources and supports behind that child, and then we have to be committed to creating the individualized pathways that will help that student and provide the supports appropriate to make sure that that student, like any other student in the district, is well prepared and ready to chase the dreams that excite them as they go forward. So with that, you're going to see tonight a little bit more about this program, and there are a tremendous amount of resources that we've brought to bear. You're going to see where this program is, the new school that we're opening. You're going to see robust curricular options, lots of different pathways to truly try to individualize this for each student. And you're going to see human capital that's already coming online to support our students. And that starts, and we're really excited about this, because great schools and great programs have to have great people behind them. And so I want to introduce our newest addition to the Ridgefield School District, and that's our Director of ALE and Business Partnerships, and that's Jessica Drake. Mrs. Drake.
Hi. I just wanted to welcome everybody and let you know just how extremely excited I am to be part of this leadership team, this group that has been developing this program. I think this is a wonderful chance for us to honor our student and parent and family connections, and to connect what every individual student needs with what we are offering. This is a chance for families to have a say, and I think that it's just an amazing opportunity, and I cannot wait to get started with that process. So up next, I have Tony, and he is going to talk about more specifics that you all need to know about this program.
Right, good evening. I'm Tony Smith. I'm the principal at View Ridge Middle School. And earlier in the year, Dr. McCann invited me to be a part of this team in planning a new opportunity for Ridgefield students and have become more and more excited as the process has gone on. I've learned a lot, and what excites me most is we have options that we're going to be offering that if I look back, I would be really excited to be able to say, hey, this is the right thing for you and your family, and we now are going to be offering different pathways than what we've had in Ridgefield. It's been a real privilege to work with, and I'm going to bring him up here in a second, Mark Clements. He's in here. He's a consultant who previously was the principal of River Homelink and Battleground School District that offered programs like these. It really helped those of us who are steeped in traditional schooling, and that's our background, coming into this knowing we wanted to offer a different option, but not having directly worked with something like it. We brought in that expertise, and it has been a huge help. Our state recognizes that there's a need for alternative learning experiences, and it's actually unique to our state. Not every state has a policy like this that offers funding for a program that will take us out of the traditional regular 5-day-a-week, 6.5-hour-a-day school day way of doing schooling. We have flexibility for time, place, and pace, just like our strategic plan talks about to do this. So before I dive into what Wisdom Ridge is going to be, I think it's important that we make it clear what it is not. First, in response to a pandemic, we had to pivot very quickly to develop an online or a remote learning model for all students in Ridgefield, just like the rest of the world did. And that was Ridgefield Remote. And that had certain qualities to it that met the challenges of the times for some kids. It's been a struggle for some too. We recognize that. But we are not looking to just continue what that has been. We are building something that is for designed to meet certain needs, but we also recognize, like Dr. McCann said, there's a lot of good about traditional schooling. It's just not the right thing for every kid and every family. It is not something where you're going to have a strict daily schedule on the same times every day, 5 days a week, where you're going to have interaction with teachers all the time. At least not the Ridgefield teachers all the time. I'll explain a little bit more. It is also not going to be simply getting on a computer and slogging through lesson after lesson, assessment after assessment. There is more to it than that. It is not a less rigorous pathway. The learning goals that the state has set forth still remain. The outcomes that we want when it comes to what every kid should learn, that's been established. It's just the pathway is different. And this is a really important piece that we've learned in talking to different districts and also getting information from families that have been participating in these kinds of programs. It is not going to be less relational. Students still need relationships with their educators, and our plan is to provide that relationship, to engage with families. But it's also to recognize that the relationship that learning is built upon is not just that relationship with the educator, with the Ridgefield teacher. It is also with parents who we see as co-educators in this model. So to describe what it is, we are calling this a K-12 family partner program. For this kind of learning to work, family partnership is essential. It is presumed that families will be very involved in supporting their students' learning. We also are interested in how can we support something that we saw in the last year develop organically, networks of families that want to work together to support their kids' learning in smaller groups. We will be offering, and this is going to be described in more depth in just a moment, multiple pathways where students will attend our campus 2 days a week, 1 day a week, or be in full virtual programs and just have a short meeting once a week to review progress and get assistance. The in-person supervision and support will be provided by Ridgefield teachers. Online platforms that will be described in a moment provide most of the coursework and assessment, which gives a lot of flexibility for that pace and when things are going to be done. So one shift for me, and you're going to see some kind of examples of what a school week looks like. A student who's coming in 2 days a week, we were having a conversation. Again, I'm steeped in traditional education, traditional schooling, and I saw a Tuesday, Thursday in person, and I said, so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the student would be learning online. And somebody quickly corrected me and said, no, not necessarily. That's flexible. It could be Saturday. It could be in the evenings. There's flexibility around all that stuff. So it is a real shift for a lot of us who've been doing this for a while. It is just different. So, as I said earlier, Mark has been invaluable to developing our lens for this and shifting our thinking to a different kind of learning model. And I think when he started to describe these kinds of learning models, it really opened our eyes to the possibilities. It showed us how, with the flexibility, these different approaches are compatible with a variety of other student and family obligations and commitments, be it a high school kid that has a job that takes place during weekdays, be it a kid who is in high-level gymnastics and has weeks away where they have to not be necessarily engaged in learning right at that time, be it even like a high school running start student that it can partner with this. So lots of different things as we started to think through these things. But Mark will do a better job explaining these better than any of us because he spent years running a school that had programs like this. So Mark's going to come explain how these school weeks can work.
Thanks, Tony. My name is Mark Clements, and I'm really excited to have the opportunity to work with Ridgefield School District. You can be assured that from the board, district administrators, Tony, the hiring Mrs. Drake, that this district is committed to serving families and providing more options that are provided now. And so at Wisdom Ridge Academy, you're going to get the opportunity to choose among 3 different pathways where you can interact with Ridgefield teachers each week. Okay, the first one I'd like to talk about is a 2-day pathway. As this slide shows, the learning is full-time learning. It's not just 2-day school, it's full-day school whenever that happens. So if you're homeschooling or if you're engaged choicing out in an online program, you can work at whatever time you want, but it's full-time. But you're going to interact with the school on one path 2 days a week. What that's going to look like is that you're going to come in for a class that's going to meet 60 minutes, 70 minutes, or whatever. The classes are going to be based on grade spans, kindergarten through 2nd grade, 3rd through 5th, 6th through 8th, and 9th through 12. And so your children will be in one of those grade spans. And we're going to cover writing in there. And then there's going to be some interdisciplinary studies. So we're not quite sure what it's going to be yet, but we'll take the lead on that those 2 days. And then you can do the rest at home on the rest of the time. In addition to that, and a really cool piece, is that a portion of that class is going to come in and meet with the teacher a half hour before that class time meets. For example, here it's on a Monday. And then, so that small group of kids will come in a half an hour and meet with the teacher, and then the whole class would meet for an hour, and then that would be it. Another small group of kids would meet a half hour afterwards. And then on the second day, a third small group of that class would come in and meet. And then the rest of them will come in and meet for a half an hour afterwards. So your kids' experience would be to come and attend 2 days of classes And then on one of those days, either before or after, come in for a half-hour small group meeting with the teacher. Make sense? Okay, so that's one pathway you could choose. The second pathway that you could choose would be something similar, but only one day a week. And so you'd be engaged in learning at home throughout the week, but you'd come in one day and then there'd be a small group meeting before or after, and then that classroom interdisciplinary studies, whatever that's going to be, would occur, but it would just be one day a week instead of two. And so the rest of the time would be at home. Okay, got it? I see nodding heads. Yes, good. And then finally, if you choose to do everything remotely, there's an opportunity for that. And what we'll do is you and your child would come in one day a week for about a half an hour and have a meeting with a certificated teacher. And they act as like an educational consultant. So you can talk about what's going good, get some ideas for the next week. The requirements for funding is that there is a plan that is written. There needs to be weekly certificated contact, which is accomplished by these meetings, whichever model you do. And then there's a monthly review of progress. So once a month, your child, you're going to come in, your child's going to explain what they've been learning all month and then plan for the next month. So you'll have an opportunity with Wisdom Ridge to choose between three paths. Doing all the work at home, and this last one, just coming in for academic consulting, coming in one day a week, or coming in 2 days a week. Got it? Sound good? It'll be fun. Next, Eric, come here.
My name is Erica Mira. I'm the Early Learning Coordinator for the school district. In the state of Washington, OSPI requires that we choose online platforms that are approved by them. So they have a long list that you can choose from with the help and advice from Mark Clements, our consultant, as well as the entire team. We looked at, vetted, researched, and spent a great deal of time selecting 3 platforms. So instead of just one offering and a nod to our personalized learning in Ridgefield School District, we've decided on Accelerate Education to cover K-12, as well as Edmentum, which will cover 6-12, and eDynamic, which is an elective secondary. There's overlap, clearly, with the grade bands. The opportunity there for students and families is that there are many pathways, hundreds of electives. Specifically with eDynamic, there is a lot of AP offered courses that previously we had not offered and we can now offer to students and families. More information about these platforms will be coming in future family nights and on the website. And Joe.
I'm Joe Weigert. I am the communications manager for the district. A natural question that comes up is, where is this going to be located? So we've made a quick video to show you the progress of the site. It's pretty rough right now. It's under construction. It's safety vets and vests and hard hats right now. But we got to take a quick look at the building. One of the first shots of the video we're about to watch shows an aerial view of a map. It's kind of hard to make out. So if you know where Parr Lumber is, the site is just west of that, less than a quarter of a mile. Or another way to say it is, if you're going south on Royal Road, you turn left or turn west at the Seven Wells Estates. And it is a building that is owned by the Port of Ridgefield, maybe about a quarter of a mile east of Seven Wells. So the first half of this video just kind of shows the space and gives another overview of the program. The second half of the video, we hear from the CEO of the Port of Ridgefield, who talks about his long-term vision for the site. He sees a lot of community and business partnerships, which again will kind of mesh with Jessica's role of building those relationships. And he just kind of talks about his vision. So.
Welcome to Port Ridgefield Wisdom Ridge. Will be the home of Ridgefield School District's Wisdom Ridge project and innovation as well. This project is part of Ridgefield mission. There are several things that we are trying to accomplish with this project. To our south, 20,000 square feet of manufacturing space. To our marketing, we're in advanced manufacturing. Supports innovation, Industry 4.0, technology, skills training, K-12 education, economic development, and business.
All right, so you got a chance to meet some folks that have been at the ground level of this. And we apologize this can't be more interactive in non-COVID times. We have stations set up and you can really start to dig in. We'll do more and more of that throughout the spring, and there'll be additional opportunities. One thing I do want to show folks is Danny's going to switch over real quickly and just show you. If you visit the district website, ridgefieldsd.org, there is already Wisdom Ridge Academy. Is a choice on our set of school sites, and you can go there and you can visit the site and learn more about the school. There are also in the upper right, you'll see a curriculum and FAQ link. And when you go there, and this is kind of what leads us into what we want to accomplish in the next few minutes too. There are already some questions that are there. If you just fly over any one of them, you can start to get answers. We are committed to building a really robust, frequently asked questions tool on this website as quickly as we can. So we thought tonight we'd take a few questions. We won't be able to get to every question folks have, and we weren't able to in the first session either. But you'll get an email from the district tomorrow. Thank you for attending tonight, whether it was online or here in person. And we'll give you the FAQ responses that we have to date, and then invite you to visit the Wisdom Ridge Academy website regularly for updates. And then as Joe alluded to, you can see more video as we monitor the progress throughout the course of the summer of this campus going forward. So we'll take a few questions. We can start with a few people online, and if there's anyone also here in person. So, okay, so not specific to Wisdom Ridge, but a question that's probably on everyone's mind. Will we be in a more relaxed, non-COVID environment in the fall? I don't know for sure today. My guess, if I had to guess today, is that masks will be a part of whatever we have at the opening of the school year. I fully expect, though, that we will return to a full 5-day-a-week traditional model. We're already there at the K-6, and on Tuesday we start there with the 7-12. So could we see masks in the fall? Yes. The district has got a robust campaign around getting the vaccine. For those that have grown tired of the masks, I understand. I would like to return to a little more sense of normalcy, and so you can visit our website to learn more also about the vaccine. So questions, anyone here? We had a bunch of them from a larger crowd in the earlier session, but anyone have questions here they'd like to ask?
I don't have one. She'd like to know if she only needs 3 credit hours. So would this also be more like she can do the 3 credit hours through the year and then do a work program? Would she do work?
Yeah. So yes, you can buttress. So the question is, if you have got a part-time kind of learner that also wants to do a work program, would this work for them? Yes. The goal of Wisdom Ridge Academy is it's starting out with a lot of flexibility, and you can only expect that flexibility to grow over the years as the school grows enrollment and capacity to continue to deliver more flexible learning environments. But from the beginning, our goal is to match up a learning experience with each child that is as ideally suited for them as possible. On the 1-day schedule, is the class time twice as long as the classes in the 2-day schedule? No, it's not. This is the beauty. Our school board president has told a really nice story at the last board meeting about how each of their children have taken a portion of their education, their middle school years, where they have done an online version at school, and they've spent more time with the family unit during those years. And so for them, they're set on all the social aspects and the connections with the school, and they're looking for something that looks more like just our check-in program. But we're gonna have families that wanna thread the needle and they're like, I don't know if I wanna be in school 2 days a week, but I don't know that I just wanna have a weekly check-in. So that one day, that's optimal for them. But that time will be half of what the 2 day is, because there'll be the same amount of time, but on one day versus each of those 2 days would have the 1 day experience, but twice a week. Other families will seek more engagement with families and more engaging time with peers, in person, and instructional staff. And so they might choose the 2 day model. Other questions that we may have? Questions that came up before is, will my children be taught by certified teachers? Yes, the answer is, oh, here we go. Do the parents meet with their child during the half-hour small group meeting before and after class? And Mark, do you want to just spend a moment kind of talking about, so Mark has got 20 years of experience at River Home Link, and every program can be a little bit different, but he can just kind of tell you what a parent could expect a little bit more.
Okay, when you come here for the half-hour meeting, it's a meeting with the student and the parent and the teacher. So it's all three people that are involved in the teaching. And so it will be like a glorified student-led conference if you've experienced those. We're really going to try to focus on helping the student be able to describe their own learning. And then as a parent, you're there supporting, and we'll have some prompts that help you so you can help your children describe what they've been learning. And then you can also use that time also to get some advice and to help with the teacher about what's going to occur during the next week or the upcoming month, depending on how often you meet. I would like to go back to the amount of time. And the funding that is allowed in the state of Washington is really based on how much time is in a written student learning plan. And it's not based on the amount of time a kid's sitting in a classroom, like on the traditional allotment. And so we'll write a plan that includes the time that the student is in class and also at home, and that's what will be reported and talked about during those weekly meetings.
And then thank you very much, Mark. The answer to that next question about students being able to move at their own pace, that is exactly what this is about. So some students, this is a school for everyone. This is not a school for students exclusively that have said, I have just had a really lousy experience in a traditional 5-day-a-week, 6.5-hour-a-day school setting, and it just doesn't fit for me. Will Wisdom Ridge Academy be home to some of those students that thrive there? I suspect that'll be the case. There'll also be students that are like, I'd like to fly. I think that I am sometimes moving slower than I'd like to, and Wisdom Ridge Academy might be the ideal home for those students. And there may be courses that I'm just more proficient in and can move more quickly through, and others that it's going to take me a little bit more time. Or I fall in love with a portion of the curriculum and I'm going to just spend more time and dive deeper there. And that's something that every teacher in every classroom in the district wants to be able to do that for every single child, but that's not practically possible when you're leading an entire class. You can't pause and say, because we've got a student that really wants to dive into this portion of the curriculum, we're going to stop for a while and we're going to only attend to that. And again, none of that. We expect many people, the vast majority of students, will still be attracted to our traditional learning model, and we're very proud of that. But we do think Wisdom Ridge Academy will be there for folks who are looking for something different. Will Wisdom Ridge Academy have a library? Will students have access to other school libraries? That's great. Students at Wisdom Ridge Academy will have access to everything else in the district that all kids have. So we can do interlibrary loans from each of the campuses. So the students have all the reading and other materials that our libraries have. They can participate in our athletic and extracurricular activities at the school that is age appropriate for them. So, a middle school play at View Ridge Middle School, or wearing the blue and orange and representing the Spudders on the athletic fields and gyms, etc. Will there be a list of electives for students to choose from? Yes, there's going to be a whole list of electives, and there'll be opportunities at the middle and high school level for students to really dig into some stuff that right now, just because of the size of the district, maybe we haven't been able to offer all of these things yet. So we're really excited about that. These are fantastic questions. Will the class be mostly online? Those online learning platforms are critical to this, There'll be opportunities to engage also with the specific certified teachers that are serving as facilitators and supporters of the student learning. And then, so there's lots of online curriculum, but there are also obviously opportunities for folks to be using traditional pen and paper, reading physical books, and a lot of those become choices. So I do so much of my reading on a Kindle type of device, just an iPad or whatever, and I was like one of the last ones to leave physical newspapers. But for other folks that just absolutely love that tactile experience with books and stuff, that continues to be an option for them. Can high school students take advantage of specific courses that we don't offer at the high school? That's the idea. So as we move forward, there'll be things that you just can't, it's the idea of helping a student to complete a learning experience that's most optimal for that student. So the default at Wisdom Ridge Academy, and this doesn't mean that this happens every single time, but the default is yes, we're going to try to make that work. And over time, as the school grows, we'll have more options and opportunities for students. And one of the things Mark said this really well last week. We have a responsibility. These are tax-funded and supported schools. So efficiency has to be part of this. So we're not going to be able to do everything for every single student without regard for any kind of economy of scale. But wherever and whenever possible, that is absolutely the goal, just like it is in every one of our classrooms in the school district currently. Who will be the teachers and are they certified? Yes, the teachers in this will be certified. Who they'll be, it could be existing Ridgefield School District teachers that choose to apply for this job, just like any that is looking for like maybe a Union Ridge second grade teacher might aspire to be a fifth grade teacher at Sunset Ridge and applies for that. It could be that. Might be also teachers that are coming to Ridgefield because they're like, I'm really excited to be teaching in this new online school and I'm going to apply for this job specifically. And so it's folks that are looking to teach at Wisdom Ridge Academy. What special education supports will be available? The full suite of special education services that any other student in the Ridgefield School District are provided are going to be provided to any student at Wisdom Ridge Academy that qualifies as well. Is there flexibility? What subjects will be on campus in person for students? Tony and Mark, either of you feel, I don't want to force us to answer something with a specific specificity that we're not quite there with yet. We're working on the specifics of that. We'll get to you on that one as soon as we can. Good questions. Anything in person from someone here in person that would like? Yes, ma'am.
Where will it be located? Where's the building?
Do you know where Car Lumber is and the Wildlife Building? Okay, so we're actually, if you were to go from here, the quickest way to get from the district office is go to Pioneer and turn onto Royal. West 45th Royal is if you're going the Rosauers way, so you're headed back towards the high school. And then you'll take the left at, not at Clover Hill, but Seven Wells. And then you'll go that back street that heads the back way to Car Lumber, that new street. And the district's building is one of two port buildings that are under construction. You saw that in the video. They're brand new buildings right next to the Fish and Wildlife Building. And that's essential too. So we're really excited about this location for a bunch of reasons. Please don't forget this building also will house the CAPS program. And that program is all about engaging with businesses. And so the neighbor in this building, so there'll be two other professional organizations on the back building. That is also their twin 20,000 square foot buildings. But the neighbor on sharing our building is the IT3 portion of the Port of Ridgefield's efforts. And that is bringing in high-tech training for businesses around the region. So our ability to partner with, it could be a Siemens or an Intel or whoever that's using the IT3 building for some sophisticated high-level training. We think that's not only going to benefit the Innovation Ridge students, but we think it's going to benefit also our Wisdom Ridge Academy students, frankly, every kid in the Ridgefield School District. And that's part of the reason we're really excited about Mrs. Drake coming on board, because not only is she leading the Wisdom Ridge charge, but all those business partnerships. Where did funding come from? This is no different than funding for any other student in the district. So The district gets what's called apportionment funding, so each time a student enrolls in the district gets funding for that. And that's what funds all of the schools in the Ridgefield School District.
It may be referring also to the facility.
The facility, so we could have done, we need additional facilities in the Ridgefield School District. So we could have done, this is actually cheaper than continuing to buy portables. So there are 3 portables on the Union Ridge campus that were being used for the Innovation Ridge program. If any of you are a parent right now at Union Ridge or at South Ridge, you're seeing with K-6 students all returning, the traffic congestion that's returned to downtown. It reminds me of 2016, when traffic really was getting bad in downtown Ridgefield. We need those portables to house the growing population that's coming to the Ridgefield School District. And so leasing this space with our partners at the port is actually much more economical than using than trying to purchase additional portables, and a far more ideal location for both of these schools. How are we doing time-wise, Mr. Griffith? 2 minutes, so I've got just a couple minutes left. Will busing be available to students? So this is a choice program, and so busing is not, this is not currently offered in the Wisdom Ridge Academy. So busing will not be part of the program. And then question right here, it looks like, yes. Yes, they can still engage at whatever level they're at if they're home at the schools in the district. So they can wear the blue and orange at Ridgefield High School, participate in plays at View Ridge, etc. You got it. So, yes.
Is there opportunities to learn outside of the online, or is it only online? Being offered?
Help me to, like.
My kids are homeschooled, so I saw this as an opportunity for us to learn at home with some of the things we're doing and other things they wanted to do.
There are blended learning environments that could happen where someone could do some stuff at Wisdom Ridge Academy and some stuff someplace else too, yes. So, and look for the flexibility. That's the hallmark of this, and something Tony talked and gave props to Mark at the beginning, but that's the thing we've really learned throughout this is we want this to be flexible, so it really meets the individualized needs of students. I know we're running tight on time, but I think you had something you want to say?
What she said about your question about is it all online, and that's a great thing about having Mark around. He asked me that question yesterday. Well, what about? And the great thing is our aim in the long run is to be able to give answers to all of that. We don't have them all yet, but the idea is a quality program of this type has the flexibility and adaptability that we develop answers to those needs, because we are your public school in Ridgefield, and that's the idea here. Not all the answers will come right away necessarily, but we do believe it is the job of this program to do so. So, yeah.
And something Tony touched on, and I kind of did in my opening comments, I think it's a good place to conclude this as well, is the rigorous and relational aspects of this program. It's our commitment, right? If we're true to our purpose statement, which is we want unlimited possibilities, that's pretty lofty for every single student. That's the idea that they leave our district as fully autonomous as they're capable of being when they leave Ridgefield. Then we've got to ensure that rigor is there for each and every student. And a hallmark of a great education, and what really drives the rigor, is the relational piece. Until that's in place, you can never really ratchet the rigor to the point that we need for students to be able to pursue unlimited possibilities. So we're so excited about that. There'll be more information coming out via videos, interviews with Jessica, lots of opportunities to learn, additional family nights coming, and enrollment is already available for this program as well. And I'll take one extra question because I can never say no, so yes, ma'am.
Will these students get diplomas and walk with other Ridgefield kids?
That's it. So we're still working on that. The goal, the long-term goal, what happens for the 21-22 class, it might be dependent on the size of that senior class, but eventually that you will leave with we're a fully district-wide accredited district. In fact, we're the first in the state to get Cognia district-wide accreditation. But eventually you will be at a Wisdom Ridge Academy graduation and leaving as a proud whatever, because the students in that school will be part of the naming process of what the mascot will be. So we'll wait, so that's why Wisdom Ridge Academy is the only school without a mascot currently, but it's certainly by this time next year we'll have a mascot. And the students will have been actively involved in choosing that. So great question on that. So one of the other things that I want to just real quickly share with you is what you'll get from us at the end of this evening or tomorrow is for everyone that joined us either live or in person is an email from the school district. Thank you for attending tonight. A list of the frequently asked questions as they currently exist, an invitation to continue to visit the Wisdom Ridge Academy website to learn more, because that will be updated regularly. So the video from Mr. Weigert will be on there tomorrow. There'll be opportunities for links to the curricular options, and then obviously a growing list of answers to the frequently asked questions. So with that, I just want to conclude with this, because I think it's essential to this promise we have to every kid in the district. If we're serious, and we are, about unlimited possibilities for every single kid, then that means that we have to bring it every single day. That means there's no shortcut on the rigor. So this is just as rigorous. It looks different. But here's the thing too, everybody, when they're actually engaged and interested in something, their ability to do high-level learning goes up dramatically. So a student that struggles in some class because there's not a relevancy to it, when we're able to provide that relevancy because we're trying to meet the student on their terms in terms of time, place, and pace, we can help them with the relevancy. They can chart out the pathway they want, and that ratchets up the rigor. And what brings that all home, and I suspect will for time, all the way to infinity from now, is the relational piece. And that's really talented certificated staff and support staff and administrative staff focused on helping each student achieve at all of our schools, but in this case, Wisdom Ridge Academy. So please, thank you for joining us tonight for our first set of family nights. We look forward to seeing you. Follow us on social media for regular updates on the school, and continue to visit the website for more answers to frequently asked questions. Enrollment's already open, as it is for all of our district schools. So if you're interested in your students already in the district and they want to attend Wisdom Ridge Academy, you can do that. And we look forward to seeing you in August at that school or one of our other schools. Thank you.